I woke up in the sea, only to discover something was terribly wrong. A bullet hole gaped in my left hand, as if pierced by gunfire. But strangely, not a drop of blood flowed from the wound. Even stranger, I felt no pain whatsoever. Returning home, I discovered in horror another shocking wound on my chest. My reflection in the mirror was completely drained of color. Terror consumed me instantly, and I rushed to the hospital. While arguing heatedly with a nurse, a familiar voice called out my name. It was Dr. Simon, who had once been my father's attending physician. Simon led me into his office. When he saw the wounds on my body, his face filled with shock. By all accounts, injuries like these should have already. He didn't finish, but I understood his meaning. What happened next filled me with even greater panic. The EKG showed my heart rate was 0. I suspected the machine was malfunctioning, but Dr. Simon had never encountered such a bizarre situation either. He suggested extracting tissue around my wounds for further analysis, but I refused. I didn't want to become a lab rat. Back home, I hastily bandaged my wounds. Forcing myself to calm down, I began recalling what had happened last night. As a police officer, during last night's walk, I witnessed an act of violence, a masked man attacking someone. When he spotted me, he fled immediately, and I gave chase. At the end of the bridge, he suddenly turned and ambushed me. I clearly remember the gun barrel aimed at me, the sound of the trigger being pulled, and finally being pushed into the frigid river. When my wife returned home, I urgently asked her to prepare dinner. My hunger was so intense I felt I could devour an entire cow. My family looked at me with strange eyes, as if viewing an alien creature, but I paid no attention, frantically shoving food into my mouth. However, my stomach seemed to violently reject the food. Soon I vomited everything back up. That night, I sat on the sofa reflecting on these bizarre changes. My young daughter entered the living room, wanting to give her weary father a warm embrace. But when my thoughtful daughter came to comfort me, I nearly lost complete control. In that moment, my brain seemed beyond my command. My arms tightened around her more and more. Fortunately, my daughter's struggling cries awakened what remained of my sanity. Looking at my terrified daughter, I was consumed with guilt. Just then, the phone rang. My informant was calling for help, desperation evident in her voice. When I arrived at the scene, she was already incoherent, clearly having been force-fed some kind of drug. As I gave her water, a man silently appeared behind me. A knife ruthlessly plunged into my body. Bewilderingly, I still felt no pain and didn't bleed a single drop, but his attack completely unleashed the beast lurking within me. I savagely tore at his arm with my teeth. The taste of blood was surprisingly exquisite. I could feel my body's intense craving for this kind of food. The man fled in terror. When I regained my senses, I had no memory of what had just occurred. I returned to the seaside where I had first awakened, searching for more clues. Suddenly, I noticed my palm beginning to itch. To my delight, the bullet hole had completely healed. I thought my body had returned to normal, and my heart filled with joy. However, what I didn't know was that I had already become someone else's test subject.